All right, boys and girls, we are back with week 6 with Chase and Code talking about all week 6 things, and also touching on our theme this week is a redraft of the 2023 class, and we're going to talk specifics of the redraft as well as all the trades that happened because every single pick. Let me just confirm before I stick my flag in the ground. Every single pick got traded at least once in the first round, which is what we're doing the redraft of. So kind of talking about would you do that trade today? All that fun stuff. So as I check my facts, how are you guys? I know I just asked that 2 seconds ago, but we're going to pretend I didn't. How are you guys? Same old Code. Chase, how are you, sir? Again, I know I just asked that a second ago, but we're going to pretend.
That's right. Sorry. I'm good. I'm good. I'm excited to chat with you guys tonight.
Yeah, looking forward to it. We thought it'd be fun to kind of have you. So when we were doing the veteran draft, it was you, Rick, Cam, and Code. You were hanging out for a bit, but then I was hanging out as a record keeper, and you guys were drafting players that I had never heard of in my life. So when Code and I were talking about who we wanted to pull on for this, it made a lot of sense to have you come with us. Why can't I fucking find this? I've been looking at it this entire time. Here we go. It made a lot of sense for, I think, you to come with us on the journey since you know all the different rookies and are really well versed in that. So I think it made a lot of sense and would be fun. So every single pick was traded. Morgan came in. Yeah, every single pick was traded at least once. So I think that kind of makes it fun that we'll get to touch on. Who would you pick here? Is it still the same person that was picked? And by the way, in our draft, spoiler alert, only one person out of all 12 picks that we did stayed in the exact same spot. So we'll talk about that when we get there. Otherwise, we'll talk about what happened last week. The inaugurals lost to the implications 205 to 146, led by Josh Allen. Brownout barely takes down the Liquidators. We're going to circle back to that one by 5 points. ETN with a 40 bomb almost for Brownout there. Joe Burrow finally gets back into form as the Diamond Dogs upset Dan Flashes. Kiko, don't eat that. My dog is eating something. Don't do that.
Buffalo Princesses, get it right.
And he's looking right at me. Oh, there's Buffalo Princesses, yeah. Look, he's guilty.
Guilty.
Sorry.
Yep.
Um,
I was literally gonna change my name back to the Diamond Dogs, and I was like,
it's
nah,
too late.
fuck it.
I already made this cute cow logo. I spent 10 minutes on it. Justin Stelly with a great week, 194 over the Kangsu Pandas, 49 points from DJ Moore. Even without DJ Moore, still would have picked up the win. Webster Tigers, led by Sam Howell, pick up the win over Win Like Flynn. And Rutro Raggy with a huge win over the Seawards because of the minuscule amount of points put up there. Let's touch on right away Liquidators, 162. Dude, if we told you that you would score 162 points one week, would you have thought we were lying to you? Was that a huge shock, or does that just prove that you've got talent still to sell? Like, where's your head?
It's quite the shock. I still, I mean, I'm looking at my team right now, and I still don't really understand how that's that many points.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely not what I had in mind, but it's fun.
Yeah.
I don't, just because of where I am in this league, I mean, I set my lineup, but I'm
Yeah.
checking it all the time because
Right.
I'm supposed to lose. But checking this late on Sunday was a little exciting. Like, oh shit, I might steal a win.
When that happens, because you got the win against the median, are you excited about that, or are you like, oh, please don't win? Or I mean, people have been talking about Brownout as a potential contender. Would it have been exciting for you to take that win away, or are you happy that you didn't?
It really is not important either way. I mean, I think it's kind of funny. I beat someone. It's good for trash talk, but yeah, it's really not important at the moment.
Okay, yeah, good stuff. And then Code Burrow back into form as soon as you get him, and as soon as you send Jefferson away, he's on IR. Excited about it after the haters of the deal? Welcome to being hated on for deals, by the way. It's great.
I think it was only person that was really hating on it was K-Mix because he didn't get Jefferson. Like, I still didn't feel.
I hated on it. I'll admit, I hated on it a little bit.
I didn't feel great about like sending him away, but at the end of the day, it's like you can only be on top for so long, and hopefully he gets back to form soon for Cam. But like I said, the last time we did an episode, I feel like that deal helped me get or achieve both of my goals for this year and for next year. So
Why
I was
not?
like, it's time to sell. Yeah, and I didn't really expect to pull out the upset against Dan, but he kept Zach Moss on the bench, so I live
Yeah.
to fight another day.
Yeah. Let's take a look at the standings now. We've got a very, very similar standings to what we've seen for the most part. So the Russell, Leaf, and Smith division all keep their leaders in the same place, as there is a clear break now. Justin Stelly at 8-2, Kung Su Pandas at 8-2, and the implications at 10. By the way, Kung Su Pandas going 0-2 this week. The Kung Hu Pandas, nobody. They're Kung Hu. Nobody even knows them, bro. Unicorn Buds had so much disrespect against me, so now it's my turn. The music stopped again. Disrespecting this music. Raggy at 6-4. The Dan Flashes and Webster Tigers all at 5-5. Dan Flashes has the edge over the Webster Tigers since they both played their game, and Dan Flashes won. And the Ryan Leaf division, Brownout and the Inaugurals both at 5-5. Brownout has the edge over the Inaugurals with Winlake Flynn there at 0-10. Diamond Dogs 5-5, Liquidators 2-8, Seawards 1-9. And so a lot of people in the middle of the pack here, right? Very early on in the season still, but we have 5 teams at 5-5. Number of the day on Sesame Street's 5, in case you didn't know. But a lot of people right there in the middle of the pack, which is an interesting place to be. And so we'll have to see kind of who decides to continue to buy and who decides to sell, because most of those teams have their pick. I think 4 of the 5 teams here, with the exclusion of Dan Flashes, have their first round pick. So they could really go either way. It really is up to them. Let's look at what the playoff bracket looks like. If the season ended today, we'd have Justin Stelly and the implications in the grand prize bracket with a bye. Kung Su Pandas, Brownout, Inaugurals, and Rutrow Raggy in the playoffs. Diamond Dogs and Dan Flashes in the extra pick bracket. And then the Toilet Bowl, Winlake Flynn, Liquidators, Webster Tigers, and the Seawards. This is kind of how it feels like the season's going to shape up. Like, I almost, if somebody told me this is how it's going to be at the end, part of me wouldn't be surprised. The only thing that I would switch would be Raggy and Dan Flashes, really. Other than that, I feel like this is kind of, this seems right. Maybe Justin Stelly and Kung Su Pandas, but I think this seems right overall. What do you guys think?
I mostly agree. I think it's pretty close. I mean, I think it's pretty close to how we power ranked at the beginning. It's still pretty close to how I would power rank them now.
Code, agree, disagree?
Yeah, I mean, I think that when you look at the which division is it? Jamarcus Russell division. Is that the one with Dan and Webster's and Raggy?
Yeah.
I mean, like, yep. I know, like, when we talked with Dan on that one episode, we said, like, okay, we generally have an idea of where things are, but it's like, it's been an absolute crapshoot for who can win and all. I mean, I think, like, the Delhi are, like, the clear front runners, but, like, past that, it's anyone's game, because they're all, like, 5-5. I mean, Raggy's 6-4, but he has, like, the least points against or whatever, so it's like, how valid is his record, really? I think, like, you could be, I would not be surprised to see the Tigers end up in the playoff race. I would not be surprised to see Raggy in the Toilet Bowl. I would not be surprised to see, like, Dan make his way back into the playoff race either. So I think that's probably the division to watch.
Yeah, which is interesting, right? We talk so much about the division of death. So I think all eyes are on them, and they still should be. But, you know, having that many teams that close in the standings, 8-2, 6-4, 5-5, 5-5, is pretty incredible. There's Flynn is falling out the bottom, obviously, in the Ryan Leaf division. So there's 3 teams to watch versus 4 that really could go one way or another way. Let's talk about the upcoming week before we get into our rookie draft. So last week we were 4 for 2, which seems to be a habit for us, which puts us at 18-12 all time, by the way. This picture is incorrect. So I made this when there were only a few votes, and then as I yelled at everybody today, more votes came through, and they swung it a different direction. So this is inaccurate in one piece. It's at the very top. We have Justin Stelly taking the edge over the implication according to voting. So 8 people voted, and we barely edged out. So it was, I had it when it was 7, or not 7, 6, and it wasn't like this. And all of a sudden, all the votes came through. And so Justin Stelly picked to win over the implications. When we have, looking at the next game, the Inaugurals against the Buffalo Princesses, the Inaugurals are favored to take that one. Seawards versus Brownout. Brownout should win there. That's a unanimous vote, 8-0 for Brownout, as you can probably imagine. Kung Fu Pandas against Rutro Raggy was 7-1 for the Kung Fu Pandas. The music stopped. I have to find a solution to this. Win like Flynn against Dan Flashes. Dan Flashes takes the win 6-2. And the Liquidators versus the Webster Tigers. The Webster Tigers with 100% of the vote over the Liquidators. So some interesting matches coming. So the upset, or not really, I mean, it's not really an upset, right? Because Justin's Deli and the Implications haven't played yet. But a majority vote for Justin's Deli is out there and pisses me off, the disrespect or whatever I want to say, right? But Alan has a stacked team for sure.
I think the league just wants to see you fall. Clearly,
Yeah,
I will say I know you have some tough matchups, but the Deli have been putting up points. But I mean, I don't know. I don't see how the whole league could think Deli are going to upset here. I don't know.
Yeah. The good news, from my own bias perspective, is it gets easier from here. So I just played the inaugurals, the Deli, and Brownout. So now I have a cakewalk through the rest of the league. Literally to the playoffs. It's all free wins, including the Kung Fu Pandas. Sorry, Unicorn. I feel bad already. So, all right, let's talk about our rookie redraft. Chase, do you want to give us the rundown on how we did it? Why not? Let's share for the people at home.
Yeah, sure.
If I put you on the spot, sorry. Yeah.
That's all right. That's all right. So we went. Who started? Code, did you start?
Yeah, Code started.
And then we just kind of went rotation.
Yeah, Code was 1. I was 2. Blind was 3. We went back through the same order. We didn't account for like what teams would have which picks. It was just a straight redraft based on who we thought was most valuable. Didn't take into
just went for it.
Account anything else I'm missing?
Yeah. All right, so Code, let's start it off. Who was our 101 in this redraft?
So I think this was taken before we found out about his AC joint sprain and how bad it was, but it was Anthony Richardson because, I mean, say what you want about Bijan, A. Rich has come out slinging and he's put up like crazy numbers and quarterback in Superflex that can get points on the ground with rushing upside and touchdowns. Yep. I felt like he was worthy of the 101 pick. Hopefully he heals quicker than the 4 to 8 week timeline, but I mean, they're probably going to be cautious with him because Indianapolis is he's their guy. So without the injury concerns, he's the clear 101 in my opinion. I love Bijan, but I think it's talent wise and upside wise and fantasy point production at the quarterback position wise, I think it's a Rich 101.
Yeah. I don't mind the pick. I worry that he's young and taking the hits, but I think Eagles fans, we dealt with that with Hurts, so hopefully he comes back and learns from this. What do you think, Chase? Do you think this is the right decision, knowing what we know now? No disrespect on Bijan, obviously, but do you think this is the right call?
Yeah, so I have the second pick. I have the pick coming up next. I actually would take that person over Richardson. Just well, I guess I won't spoil it, but I just have a little bit more questions with person went first and third over who I took. I think it's totally reasonable though. He looks like he's gonna be really good. I saw Scott Barrett tweet the other day that if you assumed he had played out, so he's played 10 quarters.
Yeah.
And if you kind of extrapolate that into 5 full games, he's averaging 29 points a game. So obviously that'll come down a little, but
right,
29 points a game is
that's everything you can ask for. Yeah. That's a really cool way to look at it too and think about it. So the trade that happened for the first overall pick was Daniel Jones and 102 to go up to 101. Do you make that trade now? I personally loved that trade. Still think it was the right thing to do. But man, Daniel Jones is just taking a beating. Do you think now, sitting here 6 weeks in the season or 5 weeks in the season, you would still do that trade, or no? Who wants to go first? Kobos.
I wouldn't worry too much about giving Daniel Jones up. I think that's I wouldn't value that very much. I do think it's kind of flat within the top 3 though. So I don't know that I'd be willing to pay too much. I think it's fine if you have a strong preference or a team need. I think I would do that.
Yeah.
If those weren't relevant, I just stay. Keep Daniel Jones, I guess.
Coda, what do you think? What side of that
Yeah.
line would you fall on?
I'd probably rather keep the 102 and Daniel Jones, but then again, it's kind of like Chase said. If you have like, say you need that quarterback upgrade, and you know A. Rich's potential for 29 points a game, whereas Daniel Jones without Saquon is like a deer in headlights. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, I don't know. I'd probably lean the Daniel Jones and the 102 side, but it's pretty close.
Yeah. I definitely don't think there's a wrong answer. But I think, especially with Daniel Jones' contract in our league, if we take that into account, it's a really good deal for a guy that's going to be a QB2 for 5 years. I still think I like Daniel Jones in 102. I also like 101. I don't think, this isn't a deal that anybody won. Like, everybody should walk away from this one feeling pretty good about it, I think. So, all right, Chase, let's go on to 102. That's your pick. Who do we got?
The 102 is Bijan. He looks so good.
By the way, let me do this
like,
real quick. Let me translate. So all the stuff that you see on your screen here. So this is the pick that we're currently doing. Obviously, the player. This is where they were originally drafted. So that thing in parentheses is where they were originally drafted. This player spot that they were drafted, and then who was originally selected at pick 102. I should have done that sooner. I'm sorry to cut you off. But yes, I mean, he's looked incredible.
Yeah, I feel like every time Red Zone flips to the Falcons game, it's like a one-handed catch, or he's juking 3 people out, or
Yeah.
something. I mean, I think he's gonna be, absolute top tier, like one of the 3 maybe running backs to own for the next 5 or so years.
Yeah.
And compared to the other quarterbacks who are obviously great and I would love to have, I think there's just a little more certainty that Bijan is going to be one of, if not the best for the next 5 years. So I think I'd take him 101, but wouldn't be upset with someone taking either of the quarterbacks over him.
Just out of curiosity, when you say one of the 3 quarterbacks or running backs the next 5 years, who are the other 2 on your list? Is it Brees and JT or somebody different? Just for fun. Or do you not want to spoil your secrets? Because if you don't, that's okay too. But
No, that's okay. It's definitely Brees. I think there's probably a drop off after those 2. Maybe Achan. I don't know. It depends on how. I don't know. He's kind of light, so we'll see how he holds up. But
yeah,
he might be up there for me.
Okay, cool. Figured I'd ask. Yeah, Bijan at 102 is not bad. The trade for this one, by the way, is another trade back for Flynn. So you are sending 102 and 304 away, and receiving Miles Sanders, 106 and 2 4th-round picks in 2024. I think you stay at 102 here, right?
In hindsight, I would. Yeah.
By the way, 304, because I've got it sitting up right here. Looks like Zach Evans. Not a whole bunch left on the board after that. Xavier Hutchinson, Tank Dell, maybe. Obviously, Puka was still there. So there are a couple random players still there, but I think Bijan I would rather have. Miles Sanders has looked okay. 106, I think there starts to be a drop. Probably right at 106. I think you stick with 102 personally, and you guys agree, it sounds like?
Yeah, I think if you asked Flynn if he could redo it over, he would want Bijan. So
yeah. All right, let's move on to pick number 3. I went C.J. Stroud. This was originally Bryce Young here for Unicorn Bolt, but I think Unicorn Bolt would switch quarterbacks and go with Bryce Young. With C.J. Stroud. I think he just looked better overall. I mean, they went both so early in the draft. They both still have that draft capital. 101, 102, 103. Like, quarterbacks that go in that range are going to stay forever. And they both went in that range. And I think Stroud just looked better. I think that maybe Bryce Young will be better eventually or something like that. But I think that Stroud has just come out and looked sharp when he wasn't supposed to. I think we all knew that Young wasn't supposed to look sharp given the circumstances, but Stroud has looked pretty good so far. There have been a couple mistakes, and I feel like he's being hailed as the next coming of Mahomes or Christ or something like that, and he's not there, but he has looked pretty good so far, I would say. This is part of the 103 was part of the Mahomes trade, so this is a lot. It was 103, 105, 106 a second. Trey Lance, Derek Carr, Mike Evans, Pat Fryermuth. For Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Michael Thomas, Cortland Sutton. I'm still all aboard that side that I got. I'm still aboard side Hall of Mahomes, Kelce, Sutton, Thomas. I should have made this a thing to put on the screen. But again, 103, 105, 106. A now very late 24 second. Trey Lance, who isn't a real person. Derek Carr, Mike Evans, and Pat Fryermuth for Kelce, Thomas, Sutton, Mahomes. I'm still all aboard Mahomes. Still no regrets. What do you guys think?
That one predated me being in the league. So at the time, I don't really have an idea of what that looks like. And to be quite honest, that list was so long, I don't feel like I followed it.
It's one of those Pepe Sylvia things for sure. Code, what do you think? Because you were around for that, so you're more acquainted.
Yeah, I mean, I think for you it made sense because you had intentions of competing, and what better way to compete than to buy Mahomes and Kelce for whatever the price is. I think me personally, I probably would have rather had all the picks, but that's because I have a different philosophy, I think, than you do when it comes to building our teams. So
yeah. By the way,
I don't think there's a loser in that deal. I don't think there's like a loser in that deal.
I don't think so until you extrapolate what happened with all that stuff from his side. But that's just my opinion. This pick was then traded away again. Speaking of extrapolating, 103 and 205 sent away for 108, 202, and Jimmy Garoppolo. So from 3 to 8. So from 3 down to 8, from 205 up to 202, and you get Jimmy G.
To me, it sounds like a move for a contender because you're adding an additional asset and you have a quarterback that you're like, hey, he can get me by as my QB2. But if you're not in contention, I think anybody would want Stroud over.
Yeah, I think
over the other.
I think 103, 205 is a bit better. I should type these in the chat for you guys somehow as we talk about this way you can look at it instead of having to just visualize it in your head somehow. But anyway, that's a oversight for another day. All right, let's move on to 104, and Code, you're back on the clock at 104 here.
Yeah, 104, I went Bryce Young because I still think in 12-team Superflex, you need quarterbacks. I know he hasn't looked amazing out the gate, but he's still the best option at this point in the draft, I think.
Yeah, I think it's Bryce Young. Chase, what do you think?
Yeah, I think that's right. I mean, he went first overall. He's a quarterback in a really rough situation. I think he deserves a little more than 5 games before we really write him off.
Yeah.
I think there's some room for concern, but I don't know. I mean, a QB who went first overall, getting him at pick 104 is kind of a steal.
Yeah, I think so too. I think you still got to go Bryce Young here. I think that you can't go wrong with that there. And then the trade for this one, where is it? Okay, 104 and 207 for Sam Howell, Calvin Ridley, 111.
That's pretty close.
It's close, right? Yeah, it's close. As I typed all these out, I'm like, oh, that's pretty freaking close, you know? I think Howell's playing well enough that he bought himself another year, hopefully, for his sake.
Yeah.
Ridley's good. 111's that's still a pretty high return for 104 and 207. So it's not terrible. If you had to pick a side, where do you go?
I think I'm picking the Howell, Ridley, and the draft pick side because you're staying in the first round. I know you're dropping was it 7 spots or you're dropping 7 spots, but you're adding Ridley, who has been a good receiver in the past, and then Howell, who he can still put up numbers. I mean, he's still learning the Bieniemy offense, and I mean, yeah, maybe he's bought him more time. I mean, isn't Howell 22 years old too? He's really young.
Yeah, he's young. Yeah. And he was allegedly a number 1 pick at some point in time, and he's not, or wasn't. By the way, in that area for 207, Marvin Mims, Rushy Rice, Jalen Reed, Roshan Johnson, Josh Downs, Tank Bisbee, Sam Laporta, Jalen Hyatt. So you're still getting a valuable player with that 207. So you have to keep in mind that that's being sent away. But yeah, I don't think it's terrible. I think it's another deal in retrospect that we can say is a good one.
Yeah, I think I like that deal more than any of the other ones.
Yeah. Let's keep it. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I just took a peek at Ridley's contract, and he's quite cheap, I think.
Yeah.
He's getting $11 this year, $18 next year. So I think just because he's cheap and so good, that probably pushes me.
That's true. Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good way to think about it.
Howell's is cheap too.
Yeah, super cheap contracts and it's still a high pick. So that's a good way to look at it. All right, let's keep it going, Chase. We're at 105 here for you on the clock.
I definitely have the most fun player so far. Yeah. I'd say I have the most fun team so far. It's Achan. He's so fast. Watching the Miami offense has been amazing this year.
Yeah.
Getting a piece of that, someone that they're actually giving touches and looks as good as he does, would probably be my move here. I don't know. I found this stuff about him and Tyreek going back and forth with like the fastest mile per hour, like the fastest. The fastest.
Sorry, I'm paying attention over this way.
Cool. You're good. Yeah, I want someone who can potentially be the fastest person in the NFL.
Yeah. Did you hear he's like challenging Tyreek to a race, or saying he can race? Yeah, I heard he said he can beat Tyreek in a race or whatever. Yeah. Sorry, I just freaked out. You guys heard it. The chat couldn't hear it, but I was afraid my fiance was poking out on camera. Jeez, in a row. So I was like, oh God, hold on, because there's 2 cameras, and the one camera that's recording stops like right here, but you guys can see all this, so it like doesn't show up. I was like, oh my God, you're about to do a thing. So, if he continues to play the way that he has been, I mean, what a steal to get him really at 109 or 105 even. You could even argue as a steal. It's crazy stuff. He has looked lights out since they've been playing him, and it's like that entire offense is just built around speed. And man, he doesn't even look like he's trying. Like, I forget what game it was. He was just taking off down the sideline, and the defender was like doing everything he could and was struggling, and he's just like, I'm just running, man. Like, it's no big deal. So, all right, I'm gonna keep. Oh, at the trade, yeah.
There've been a couple clips on Twitter of just angles that some defenders had on him, and then just him not even caring, just blowing.
Yeah. It's insane. 105 for 111 and 205. I think 105, personally.
Probably still want an A-chain just because of the production you've gotten from him. Compared to, because what, 205 you get like what, Tank Bigsby, who's done nothing.
205 was Michael Mayers 203, Hendon Hooker 204, Marvin Mims 205, Rushy Rice 206. So it's value, but not a bunch. 111, by the way, was Quentin Johnston, Zach Charbonnet, Zay Flowers. So I think 105 is the way that I would have gone.
Yeah, same for me. I think staying in the top 6 this year was such a big deal. I'd want to take the higher pick.
All right, let's move on to 106. I'm surprised he was here. I thought about taking him at 103, but then I couldn't over the quarterback. Puka. I felt like just the way that he's played so far, obviously with Cooper Kupp not being there, that was a little bit concerning, but Kupp came back this week and looked fine. Puka's still got the targets he wanted to see. I think Puka's been the big surprise of a lot of rookie drafts with him being so far down. And then playing as well as he has. So I felt like I would have grabbed him here at 106, which is why I went for it. Trade for this one, 106 and 111. For the Dan Flash is 2024 first.
Yeah, I don't know.
106 and 111.
I'd rather have the 2 picks this year.
I could. So this is the moment. So Cam said that pick's going to be early, and then like 4 hours after he said it, this trade got done. With Cam, I think it was for Cam, by the way. I think there is a decent chance that 106 and 111 got traded for 2024's 110, 108. Or excuse me, 107, 108. So yeah, I'll take 106 and 111. I'll take the Sooner pick and the extra pick in that one for sure. All right, 107. Code, back around to you again.
107. I'm pretty sure I went Sam Laporta.
Yep, you did.
And I mean, he's been amazing. Like, I know his like tight end profile was good in the draft. There was actually like the top 4. Like, it was Musgrave, Laporta, Mayer, and then there was some other guy.
Kincaid.
But like they all had like really good Kincaid. They all had really good like profiles and everything, but I don't think anybody expected Laporta to be the one that went nuclear. And I mean, the thing is with like tight end, like you want consistency really. And I've been dealing with Kittle, who gave me 27 points last week, but then like 1 point the week before.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't see. I see Laporta in that Lions offense, and I'm just like, he's literally what Hawkinson was, but they're actually using Laporta more than what Hawkinson was. So it's just like, I think he's like the smash tight ends if you need that position when you go into the draft. So maybe not like best available, but like best available tight end like by far.
Yeah, and with how slowly tight ends seem to develop, the fact that he's playing this well this early, everybody's trying to find who the next Kelsey or Andrews is going to be because it's such a competitive advantage over everybody else in your league. And so the fact that Laporta looks this good this early, I think, is also what does it in. Chase, what do you think about Laporta here at 107?
I'm all in on Laporta. I think he's got a case to be tight end 1 in Dynasty. Cam came to me the other day and I was asking for him, and he gave me a price. I said I need like a first on top to think about it. I think he's gonna be like one of those kind of Andrews Kelsey guys for the next 10 or so years.
Yeah.
I couldn't be more excited. Yeah.
Let's touch on this trade at 107. So there's a few pieces in this, so bear with it. 107, Elijah Moore, Jacoby Brissett, 303. For 111 and a projected early 2024 first. So again, 107, 303, Elijah Moore. Brissett's a free agent, so forget Brissett. 107, 303, Elijah Moore for 111 and a now projected early 2024 first. I think, obviously it depends on what position you're in, but if you're contending, 107, Elijah Moore, 303. If you're rebuilding, 2 firsts, this is another one of those trades that's pretty even, I think.
I've always been an Elijah Moore guy, but I think I'm just out enough in the Browns offense. I might take the
2 picks
in either scenario. Yeah, if you really want to contend, you can just sell. You can sell those picks.
Yeah.
Right back off, but.
More liquid.
I'm waffling a bit because I think it really depends on if you're at this 107 spot and you need a tight end. You probably don't do that because you're like, okay, I have my tight end of the future. I don't have to worry about the position anymore. And the thing is, with the whole like projected early pick in 2024 or whatever, you really never know. Like with the way injuries happen, like this year, for example, like I don't think you can buy a draft pick next year and be like, oh, I know it's locked into the top or the bottom 4. I think it could just fluctuate way too easily. So I probably still lean the 107 Elijah Moore and 303.
It is Rick's 2024 first. It is a locked into the bottom. So, it's a top 4 pick. So I should have been more specific with that. Because no offense, Rick, we love you, but God help your team. So I think you can say, so it's probably 103 or 104 with how the toilet bowl has the potential to go, right? So it is an early pick, but it's still a matter of, yeah, it's tough.
I guess it really depends on your conviction on Laporta then,
Yeah,
because I do think if it's guaranteed top 4 and you're already rebuilding, then you can probably get by with throwing just a random starter at tight end and get some points,
yeah,
and then get a better asset for the future.
yeah.
But if you really are in on Laporta and he's your guy, then I wouldn't fault anybody for taking the
Yeah.
horse side of that.
I think it really depends on the state of your team and your personal roster construction, right? But this is another one where there's not really a wrong answer. So, moving on to the next one, Jahmyr Gibbs at 108. Code, take us through it.
Did I put them here?
Oh, Chase, take us through it. Whoops, sorry, wrong C word.
At this point, I noticed I'd taken 2 running backs, so I kind of wanted to stick to the bit and just take all running backs. But I really do think he would be the pick here. Yeah, I mean, I get that Montgomery's kind of outshone him so far this year. But when he's touched the ball, I think he looks incredibly good. And it's a running back with first round draft capital.
Yeah.
Makes sense why there's kind of some rookie bumps, especially for kind of the style of runner he is.
Yeah.
So to be able to get him 3 picks later than he actually went, someone I think is quite talented and could have a 70, 80 catch season in the future. I think he's kind of a steal at 108.
Yeah, I think him at 108 is not bad. I do worry that he's a gadget player or whatever those things are, but I think 108's not a bad spot for him at all. What do you think, Code?
I wouldn't have been surprised if someone would have taken him 107 ahead of Laporta.
Yeah.
Depends on what they need at running back. The thing is, like with Montgomery, like they paid him in free agency, so they're going to utilize him. And with the way the Lions are with running backs, apparently, like I don't want to call this guy the next coming of DeAndre Swift, but we'll have to wait and see, right? I mean, he looks electric when he gets the ball, and he's a good floor play when he plays, just because of the upside already. But
what's interesting is the next coming of DeAndre Swift could be I could have got that for you. Could be an insult or a compliment. So
yeah,
I think that's funny. Trade for this one. This is a 108 for lots of picks, so be ready. 108 for 207, another early 2024 second. I only put early when I knew it was going to be early because I'm a believer of the pick of me anything. So 108 for 207, early 24 second, 304, a late 24 third. Feels like a bunch of stuff for Gibbs.
Yeah, feels like a lot of nickels for a quarter.
Yeah.
Probably the quarter.
I think I want 108 there. But I don't know. It's interesting. 207 range was, again, some of those players I mentioned already. Mims, Roshan Johnson, Rashee Rice. So I think I want Gibbs. I don't know. Chase, are you on our side or do you feel differently about it?
This one, I think, is one of the toughest for me. I could see, if you have an expensive team, something like yours, and want some, 4 rookie picks that you can bring in that are kind of depth, kind of hopeful coin flips kind of guys. I think it makes sense to take the later pick. If someone's really wanting to take a swing, kind of get like a core piece, I think it's totally fine to prefer the 108. Seems about fair to me. Yeah.
Oh, cool. That's a good analysis. I didn't even think about it like that. You're taking the contracts into account more than I should, and I should be doing the same thing. I'm embarrassed for showing me up. I'm kidding, obviously. 109, Jordan Addison, who was taken at 107 at Chain taken here. I think Addison, and this is pre-Jefferson injury, I just think the fact that he's got Jefferson and is getting that much target share means that he's something. He's going to probably have Jefferson there with him for a while. So Jefferson's going to be the one getting double or even maybe triple covered. Hawkinson is good as well. So far, there's been enough they can feed all the mouths. The wide receiver 3, KJ Osborne and was Bilal Powell or Brandon Powell are not a threat to him. That's why I kind of put all that into the factors of why I would go with Addison here. So just kind of went for it. We'll just keep
Yeah, I
moving
think
because there's no.
he looked
Oh, go ahead. What's that?
I think he looked the part. Yeah, like that's a good pick.
Yeah. This was a trade that we touched on already somewhere. So we'll just keep moving. Chase, do you think Addison here, or would you have gone someone different?
No, I think Addison's the pick here. I think he seems to be the kind of most exciting wide receiver other than Puka. And honestly, I think I wouldn't. I don't know. I wouldn't even separate those two by as many picks as we did. I think he's both quite talented and in a decent situation, though I do worry about Kirk potentially leaving in the future. But yeah, I don't know. I think he's talented. There's a chance that Jefferson leaves, which I think would make him the 1A in that offense. So yeah, I like him here.
Yeah. All right, we'll keep on going. 110 up next, and we're back to wide receivers here. Zay Flowers, who was picked at 110, so this is the only player who has stayed in the exact same spot that they were drafted in. Code side of things. Yeah, there you go.
I think it makes sense. I don't know who is left on the board at this point, but I think he's just the next best available. He's looked the part. He's like surprisingly the wide receiver one in the Ravens offense because in the offseason it was like who knows who's going to be doing it, but apparently he's been the guy. Dropped a touchdown pass last week, so he's got to work on his catching.
Did he drop one too?
But,
I know Bateman did.
Everybody was dropping stuff in that game.
Yeah, it's tough. Yeah, that was just a typical AFC North game.
So
cool. 110 was also involved in a trade earlier, so we'll keep going. And Jackson Smith and Jigba coming here at 111. So a lot of people having him as the first receiver off the board. We had him here as the fourth receiver. Sorry, there's a bug. A fourth receiver off the board. What made you want to go with JSN here, Chase?
Yeah, it's mostly sticking to kind of pre-draft priors. He was my wide receiver one, like I think he was for most people this offseason. I think I don't remember exactly when in camp his his wrist thing happened. But I feel like for a rookie in an offense where there are two existing talented wide receivers, that any injury during camp is really going to slow you down. They're a competitive team. They don't want to spend a whole bunch of time, working him into the offense when they can win.
Right.
And I still believe in the talent. So it is a little concerning, obviously, that he hasn't produced. I think he has a crazy low A dot last I saw, like a yard or something. That's not great. But yeah, I mean, I thought he was really good coming into the draft. There are pretty plausible explanations for why he hasn't produced. So I'd love him here, 111.
Yeah. And this is one of the ones that fell further than I think a lot of our other players. So it kind of like mixes here and there, but JSN going 5 spots lower is one of the bigger ones. And that leads us to 112. But there is a trade here, but that's one we talked about already. That's we talked about this one already? Yeah, that was 107, and 303 Elijah Moore and Brissett for this one. And then 112 we went Tajee Spears. Charbonnet originally selected there. I just went with him just because he's been fighting Henry for the backfield and has looked the part to be in the backfield. And King Henry is still the king, but not for much longer probably. And so I wonder if Spears takes that role over, and we know that the Titans know how to utilize the running back. And so I think Spears is the right answer. But as I selected him, both of you immediately said it was spicy. So this was one of the more controversial ones, I know. Reactions to Spears at 112. Does that logic click for you guys? Chase, we'll start with you. Does that logic kind of follow your thought process as well, or do you think Spears is not the right answer here?
Yeah, I think it's like hard to pick anyone that I would really replace him with. I think there was a bit of a drop after JSN for me. I don't know. I thought it was funny. I feel like a Spears pick kind of fits what your team is, just being so all in, and given that Spears has a knee that's probably gonna not last very long, I feel like it would really fit with your team. Yeah, I mean, I don't have anyone that like screams like I should be the pick here.
Right.
There's Tank Dell, Charbonnet, Kincaid, Quentin Johnson.
Yeah.
But
Nothing really jumps.
I don't know. I mean, I think it's reasonable to take him over all those guys. So
Yeah.
it makes sense.
Other notable players: Kendra Miller, Jonathan Mingo, Michael Mayer, Marvin Mizrachi Rice, Charbonnet, Quentin Johnson, as you already mentioned. There's nobody really else that is like up there that's like you've got to have this one. I mean, this is truly the difference between a first round pick and a second round pick, I would say. Will Levis was taken at 113. So, I mean, Levis is still there as well, but I kind of went Spears. Code, what do you think? Would you have done something different, or would you have rocked with Spears here?
No, I think Spears checks out. I mean, it was good logic on the pick, and then when you think about being at that 112 position, um, you probably want somebody that's going to produce rather than like a guy you can sit and wait for a year or two, because you're 112, so you're either already going to compete next year, or you're like, oh, I gotta start the rebuild immediately. So, um, yeah, I think Spears is a good pick.
All right. Well, that does it for our rookie draft do-over. All the things. So overall order, a little interesting. I'm curious to see what you guys had as well. I know that usually the day after we upload this thing, everybody kind of chats and adds their own thoughts to it. So excited to hear everybody else's thoughts as well. That does it for us as well. Next week is going to be with Alan McNatt. So next week is the controversial opinion, buy or sell, just big, bold opinions. So if you guys have any, send them my way. I would appreciate it. We're doing that with Alan just because Alan likes to talk shit. So the 2 times that he was on here, he talked shit and then apologized afterwards. So thought he'd be fun to have with the opinions. Speaking of talking shit, I forgot to mention this. In the trash talk from the poll, 3 different people, one person said I win. Someone said I should have never been power ranked last. I was always clearly the 11th best team in this league. I'm guessing that was you, Chase. Yeah, pretty good one there. And then, when is Win Like Flynn going to change his name back to? Well, when is Win Like Flynn going to change his name back? For those of you uninitiated, he changed his name halfway through the league last year to Lose Like Flynn. Has not changed it back to Lose Like Flynn yet. I even still have the logo, which is just the upside down trophy.
That's such a low blow. Like, come on, you gotta kick the man while he's down. He's 0-10. Like, dude, relax.
Yeah, I don't know who said the things. Obviously, we can assume Chase, but that's I thought that was pretty funny. But yeah, looking forward to chatting with Alan. Fun fact of the day: Alan just got back from France and Italy and stuff, and we were talking about it. And he sent me a couple pictures, and he sent me a picture with a bridge in the background. And I literally took a picture from pretty much the same angle, just more to the left of the exact same bridge. And I sent the picture back, and I was shocked and impressed. And he was just like, "Yeah, whatever." I thought it was the coolest thing in the world, and he was just like, "Yeah, it was fun." I'm like, oh, "Okay," but yeah, looking forward to chatting with him next week. Chase, I only have one more question for you, other than any final thoughts. But I'm just curious. So, is everything going according to your master plan right now? Because you came in with a plan and were committed to it. Are you happy with how things are going for your team this year? Are you happy with all the moves you made, all that stuff?
I am. Yeah, I mean, the plan was to kind of build the core that'll be here for a while. So it was hard to get a quarterback, but I got receivers that I'm happy with. So London, Pittman, Rasheed Rice looks like he might be good. A tight end. I have some young pieces that I'm excited about. I still have more running backs to sell if anyone is
shameless
interested. Plug. Yeah, oh yeah. I know there's some speculation about me buying, kind of with the toilet bracket in mind. But really, I think, I put up 160 points last week. I think this team is decent enough that it can be. It could win any week, so I don't know that there's too much work that needs to be done. So yeah, I'm mostly just chilling, trying to collect picks. I'll take more if anyone has some.
Yeah.
What
would it cost? Because this has been a hot topic from a couple different people and a couple different teams. What would it cost for Brock Purdy? So he's on that 1-year deal. Is he available? Because obviously, when you turn the gas on and start rebuilding, you need to have quarterbacks there, and Purdy is looking good. Is he on the market, off the market? Would it need to be an overpay, or are you liquidating? Like, what do you think the starting? What would have? Let me say this in English. What would be the trade offer that would need to come your way for you to say, okay, let's start doing some back and forth? What would get your
That's a
attention?
good question. I've had people ask. I think he's optional. He's not a perfect fit for my team. I like others are kind of skeptical about his talent.
Yeah.
But he does seem to be good enough that he's probably going to be Shanahan's QB for at least a few years.
Yeah.
So I think he's probably going to be my re-sign at the moment. In terms of what I would take, it would take a first and another decent piece, I think, before I kind of perk my ears up. So something around there. A first and a second dish, depending on where those were located, and yeah.
Open it talking from there. Cool. Good stuff. Code, any final thoughts from you, sir?
I mean, on the Purdy take, like, I wouldn't be surprised if Chase like re-signs him and keeps him and doesn't trade him, because I mean, in this league, quarterback is king. So yeah, I mean, I think it's a fair price point to like start investigating. But yeah, at the same time, it's like if you've got one of those stud quarterbacks, even if his talent is kind of skeptical, even if he's producing for fantasy, it's like, man, hard to put a price tag on that, you know?
Yeah. What's his deal? He's $50 I think right now currently as well. I mean, $50 for a starting quarterback is not much.
That's fine, yeah.
$51, yeah. So you re-sign, let's just say you re-signed him. 51 times 1.2 plus 5, $66 in year one. Not bad at all.
Yeah, not bad.
Any final thoughts from you, Chase, before we wrap this up?
No, not too much else. I planning on keeping the triple tight end strat for the rest of the year. It seems to be working. So watch out for that. The new fantasy meta, the triple tight end.
Yeah, innovative strategy. I'm sure Cam Hunt respects the mess out of it. All right, cool. That's going to do it for us this week. We'll see you next week with Alan McNatt. Kung Fu Pandas are frauds.